I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears. And thought I'd just check in with you with my February podcast. Been quite a few weeks. We had a major snowstorm in Southern Illinois, and it got me to thinking about snow and the lack of snow and our weird Southern Illinois weather, which, if you don't like the weather in Southern Illinois, just hang around. In 15 minutes will be different. That's kind of what we say around here. We really experience just a lot of variances in temperatures and weird weather patterns here. I think that's just what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back. And more about the weird weather in Southern Illinois. And, yes, the, smoke alarm is beeping away. Sorry. I thought I had it stopped, but it's just getting worse. It's alive. It's alive. Okay, I'm taking a break. I'll be right back. This is my podcast from my head to your ears, and today I'm going to talk about the wild and wacky wintertime world in Southern Illinois. You just never know what it's going to be like here. Wintertime, of course, starts on December 21st, my birthday, oddly enough. And even that week, this year, on my birthday, the weather week was insane. It was seasonal on my birthday, and then Christmas, it got to be almost 80 degrees. We literally were turning the air conditioner on to cook dinner. We were all sweating. It was just ridiculous. And then the weather was really kind of mild for a whole month, and then exactly a month later, we had a major snowstorm, and it dumped up to 15 inches on our area. And it was almost surreal, really, because it was the worst snowstorm we'd had, in my opinion, since the 1970s or 80s, early 80s. The winters I grew up with in Southern Illinois were much different than the winter times of my adulthood. A lot of people talk about global warming and stuff, but the weather literally is so bizarre around here, especially in the wintertime. Actually, winter through spring, you just don't know. The weather is all over the place. We had that snowstorm, and it stayed cold a while, 2 weeks into it. We still have snow to this day, although tomorrow it's supposed to be 60. So this is the first official warm-up, real warm-up, since the snowstorm almost 2 weeks ago. And it seemed like last year, if I recall, we had like a bout of bad weather, and we had ice more than snow. As a matter of fact, I had friends, I have a friend in Thompsonville who was without power for a week from the ice, knocking the power out. But then after that spell of cold, and it was pretty cold, it warmed up and never did really get to be very cold again, nor did we have any major precipitation, maybe a little snow here and there. I'm having a feeling this year is going to be the same. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll eat my words, but we've had, 2 weeks of really, really winter cold, bitter cold weather, and now we're getting a warm spell, and it's lasting as far as the eyes can see. I really would be surprised to see another snowstorm or significant snow in Southern Illinois this winter season. Honestly, people just didn't know how to act in this snow. Of course, they predicted it, and they predicted predicted it pretty accurately around here. It came just as they said. It started off with a kind of a what do you call it? A talking, a little whisper of maybe there's going to be snow on the weekend about a week earlier. And then as the week went on, the system strengthened, and by the middle of the week, they were saying we're going to have a really good snowstorm, if it tracks right. So the panic set in, and everybody cleared the shelves at their local Walmarts and everything. Walmart's shelves were laid empty. I mean, people were just panicking. Gas sales, of course, where I work, we sell gas, were crazy. People were just filling up, and you know how everybody, milk and bread and all that stuff, getting their groceries, and the panic had set in, and it seemed like the snow started as they said, and the day that it started snowing, which was a Saturday, everybody still was just frantically filling up their gas tanks. Of course, most families now have a car for everybody in their family, so we're talking lots of, you hear my cat, Bitsy May, in the background. She's in heat. Yes, no, I have not got her fixed yet, but she stays in the house safe from getting impregnated. But that's neither here nor there, but so just pardon her while she whines. Bitsy May, it'll be okay. Livy's currently making biscuits on my chest. We're getting ready to go to bed. I'm doing this at night. But I digress. I was talking about the snow panic. Yeah, people cleared out shelves and, all kinds of stuff. And it was just, it always disheartens me to see people panic. It really does. I've seen it a lot working where I work at a convenience store, with the gas pumps and everything, because it's really kind of pointless, because nothing's going to last that long. It's not like we live in the wilderness or anything. And we live in a small enough town that you could probably walk to wherever you needed to walk to, and we live in a small enough town where everybody's got those big trucks with 4-wheel drive around here, because we're all a bunch of good old boys in Southern Illinois. So it's not like it was in the 1970s when nobody had those kind of vehicles and people just had cars and just maybe a little Chevy truck. Not a lot of power to them. So if it snowed, it was pretty well you were stuck in the house. But it's not like that now. But like I said, everybody's got 5 vehicles, and they've got side-by-sides, and they got snowmobiles, and they got 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers and, whatever they have recreational vehicles. So, I mean, people were filling up for that. Now, the day the snow really hit on Saturday night and through Sunday morning, and she sounds pitiful, doesn't she? Listen to her. Hey, Bitsy, do you mind? I'm podcasting. Bitsy. Oh, Lord. Oh, hi, Sonny. That's Sonny. Now, I don't know what he's on about. He's getting ready to go to bed. He's crawling in his space. Go to sleep, bud. Anyway, this is the life of a cat dad. We actually are all in bed getting ready to go to sleep. I just felt the need to podcast. Okay. The snow hit overnight on the Saturday night, and it snowed pretty crazy by the time I had to unfortunately get up at 4 a.m. to go to work at 5 a.m. because we had closed my store, and we were reopening at 5 a.m. for whatever reason corporate decided. I don't know. It was kind of silly. I think I had 3 customers in 3 hours. But anyway, I went, opened the store. My buddy that gives me a ride to work has a big truck, so he had a little trouble getting through, but he was the first one to make tracks on the road and got me to work safely, which I am appreciative of. And I opened the store and it was pretty quiet, and I'm thinking, well, everybody's going to chill today because nobody will get out. Everybody will be safe at home, snug as a bug in the rug, other than us poor fools that got to get out and work. So used to, it would be, just a few guys that venture out to have a cup of coffee, and they'll stand around with their cups and talk politics, and the cops will come in and chill for a minute, and have coffee and chat, and the snowplow guys will come in and get something to eat and chat for a minute. That's usually used to what a snowstorm was like in Southern Illinois. But no, about 10 o'clock it happened. All hell broke loose. The world became alive. All these big trucks and stuff were getting out, and our floor was just covered in snow and salt from the sidewalk where we had salted. It was just like, and you talk about insanity. Those gas pumps were going full force all day. People were filling up again there for their recreational vehicles. And then a lot of stores, people couldn't get out to go to work, which makes me laugh because they sure could get out to go play needlessly. So the 2 other C-stores in my town closed, as well as a few other businesses. So we were the only gas station open, and oh my gosh, we just got slammed, and it was frantic in there. People were just crazy, and I thought, man, what happened to the good old days where everybody stayed home? But the thing that aggravated me was everybody was out just kind of needlessly, and it was a Sunday, and Sundays are generally kind of slower until maybe the afternoon when church lets out. But there was no church anywhere, and people didn't need to be out, and in my opinion, they were just getting in the way of the snow plows, and people were getting stuck, and the cops were having to go help, and it was really thoughtless of people to get out needlessly. It should have just stayed home and had a pot of chili and watched ball games or something. Everybody's got all these modern conveniences of home with large screen TVs and every modern convenience imaginable, and they had an opportunity to sit in their house and enjoy what they have and just maybe have some family time. But no, we want to get out and get stuck and get out in the cold. And I get it. A lot of people were trying to dig out because they did have to work the next day, but they ran that gas out, and the poor people that did have to go to work the next day, if they needed fuel, because, logically it takes a lot more energy for your car and gas to start it up, let it warm up, and all that jazz. But I just couldn't get why they cleared the shelves, bought enough food for a month, and then still got out. I sure as heck wouldn't have got out if I didn't have to, but unfortunately it was my turn to work. We had a lot of call-ins, so we were kind of running a skeleton crew, and I had to call one girl in off her day off. So yeah, it was, I don't know, it was kind of a cluster, and I hate seeing people sort of panic and act frantic when weather's like that. It's just needless. Everybody needs to take a chill pill and calm down. Like I said, enjoy life a little bit. Stay home. You didn't have to get out. You don't have to tell me twice to stay home. I love staying home. I can most certainly do without getting out if I don't have to. But anyway, that was pretty much the snowstorm of southern Illinois. And then it just got very cold. So this stuff has lasted for weeks. And then there was a little argument, like I said, of when the last time we had a big snowstorm, and some people were saying, oh, it was in the 2000s. And I'm like, yeah, no, it wasn't that deep. A lot of the people saying that weren't around the 70s when we had the blizzards. So this was definitely bad. The only thing we didn't have was a high wind, because this snow, since it was so cold, because it wasn't a wet snow, it was a real dry snow. Had the wind been blowing, we would have had snow drifts, and it would have made things just nearly impossible to get out in. But we lucked out, and we didn't have that this time. It just was really just cold. And the thing I hate about the next day after Sunday, when it cleared up, usually after a big snow like that, it clears up. And, which, really makes it colder with the snow effect, the cold snow on the ground, and then the no clouds in the sky, all the heat rises off the earth and goes up, so you're left with cold air. And then Bitsy May, I think I'll let Bitsy May finish this podcast. She's awful vocal tonight. Oh Lord, I hope she goes to sleep. I have to work tomorrow. Bitsy, I know. Yeah, tell me about it. You gonna tell the listeners? You okay now? Okay. She shut up momentarily. Anyway. But it did stay cold, and you had to deal with all the precautions of freezing pipes and that sort of stuff. I rarely wear a coat, even in the winter. But I actually had to drag my winter coat out, which I didn't have to hardly wear last year. I think I wore it for 1 week, and it's about all I wore it this year, because now, when the weather got in the 30s, I just don't even bother bringing a coat. I'm just going to work. I'm usually inside, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, I'm going to take a break and rest my voice for just a second, and I will be right back, and Bitsy May will too. Oh, she's wandered off in the living room. Bitsy May, I, and the smoke alarm will be right back after these unimportant messages. No, I will be right back, though. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears.
From my head to your ears, let the music appear. No distance between us, just jazz in the air. I'll be right back, don't you fear. Every note I play brings me near.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. I've been talking about our winter weather in southern Illinois and how changeable the weather is here in the lovely southern part of the wonderful, sorry, little cough, state of Illinois, where everybody's trying to get out really quickly. Yeah, that's maybe another podcast. No, I don't like to get political in my podcast. And I'm sorry if that offended anybody, but the weather definitely here is just insane. Of course, I was talking about the snowstorm we had this year for this winter, and it was pretty memorable. And if we don't have another snow this winter, we still are going to not forget this snowstorm. Hello, yawning. Excuse me. as I said in the opening, it's certainly the winter weather, in these modern times is nothing like the winter weather I grew up in. Most notably the late 70s. We had 3 years in a row, 77, 78, and 79. We had some major winter storms. And I believe the blizzard of 78 was one of the worst. And the whole state was shut down in Illinois. I mean, I don't remember the snow amounts, but there are pictures, online of that snow where we were just, the whole state shut down. And like I said, of course, back then you didn't have 4-wheel drives and all this stuff and recreational vehicles and, that sort of thing. So you were pretty much stuck at home. But again, I don't remember people freaking out going to the grocery store and buying and clearing the shelves. Maybe they did, but I don't remember that. Of course, back then we didn't have the internet and the information, and we didn't take pictures of everything because cameras were cameras, not on your phone, and film was expensive, so you just didn't take pictures for no good reason. Nor would you have film if it wasn't a holiday or something or a birthday. So that's why there's not a lot of pictures of these things back then, other than news photos and things. But I remember, the biggest thing I remember about the snow of 78, I was in the 5th grade, and I got very sick. I believe the Russian flu was going around that winter, and I got it. And I remember the day it snowed, they weren't calling for anything major. And I remember we were sitting in the classroom, watching it snow and snow and snow and snow. And it just would keep snowing. And by 10 o'clock, they were dismissing school and sending us home. And I remember getting home, and I believe the bus ran off in the ditch. I believe that was the winter. And it ran off in the ditch just, a few blocks away from where I live. So I think the people were, it seemed like there was teachers riding with us. I seem to remember this. And what they did was they asked the students if anybody lived nearby, if they would walk home, they would walk us home, to a point. So that's what we did. We walked home in the snow, and I actually just lived down the road and up the road, from where the bus had gone into the ditch. So, yeah, it was fun. But then I remember, waking up the next day with the worst, sickness I'd ever had up at that point in my life. Really, well, no, I think I got sick later when I turned 30. But up until that time, I think it was the Russian flu. Plus I had strep throat. I had a few things wrong with me. And, oh God, it was horrid. And the sad part, I think we were out of school for 2 weeks with that snowstorm, and I was sick the whole time. So that was really annoying. I remember getting to the doctor in DuQuoin at one point, and the doctor's like, "You're a very sick boy." And I think what happened, if I recall, we had that snow and then we had another snowstorm. I may be wrong about that. We're talking, pushing 50 years ago. So my mind's usually pretty good, but I think since I was sick, I don't remember a lot of things because I remember being so sick that I slept a lot. And, So I do know I was throwing up with strep throat. If you talk about pain, I don't even want to think about that. That was horrible. But the thing I remember most, back then, of course, what I was talking about, everybody panicking and getting out in this weather. You couldn't back then. I mean, cars just wouldn't get through this weather. People didn't have the big 4-wheel drive vehicles and all that stuff. So you were stuck at home. And that's just the way it was. But I remember the other snowstorms, which are really vague to me, really vague. I don't remember them as well. I remember the early 80s when I was in high school, particularly 1982. Yeah, it was my freshman year. Our local water supply lake, Wren Lake, had frozen over so solid that we had no water, and we had to cancel school because you can't have school without water. It's against bi-county regulations. I think that's still that way. You have to have running water. So they canceled school, but they canceled school a lot. And I remember my mom, not hearing it on the radio, or she didn't, but I did. And I tried to tell her, hey, we're canceled. And you get your clothes on, because I was missing a lot of school, because I was pretty miserable in high school. I'll be honest with you, early on, especially. So she was really mad at me, thinking I was lying, which I never understood why my mom would think I would lie about that, because, I didn't want her to pop me one or anything. But I went ahead and got ready, and she carted me off to school, and we get there and there's not a soul there. And I just kind of gave her that look, but I didn't dare, laugh or anything except to myself. She went to, I think she was sick of having me at home. Can you imagine that? I don't know, but yeah, it was crazy. And really, from the period in my school life, I really don't remember early on. I know we had snow days and stuff. They weren't ridiculously deep snows or whatever. I think in the second grade, we had a snowstorm in February. It seemed like, it might have been when I had chicken pox. It seemed like I always got sick in the snowstorms. I don't know. But I also remember another memory from 78 that I just thought about was I had gotten my dog, Barney. Nope. This would have been these snows of 1979, because I got Barney in 78. And I loved my dog. He was a Beagle Dachshund, and I loved that dog so much. And I swear he was part pit bull, because I was a skinny kid, and I put him on a leash, and he wasn't a big dog. He had a wiener dog body and a beagle face. But I would put the chain on him, and he loved being outside. Absolutely loved it. And we'd go running in the snow, and I'd go out there at 9:00 at night. My parents didn't say a word. Here I am, every bit of 12 years old, I guess. And I'd go out there and I'd walk my dog, and we'd run in the snow, and I'd go all over the place with him. I remember taking the leash, and we'd go run by the railroad tracks. I remember, funny thing about that, I was wearing snow boots, and I stepped in what really was a ditch that was so full of snow, it kind of camouflaged it. So when I stepped in it, I went down to almost up to my hip, and and when I pulled my leg out, my boot got sucked in, and then the water filled my boot. So I had to get my boot and put it on, and my feet were wet. And that's just something I don't like, is having wet feet. To this day, I do not like that at all. So pretty much my running was over. So, I think at that point I was pretty well wet everywhere. Just got all over, had to sit down in the snow. So grab Barney and get back home and, go in and change clothes and stuff. But, oh gosh, I love my dog Barney. He was a cutie. He ended up dying on the Christmas of 1987. 2 days after Christmas. I talked about my duck, Chi-Chi, died on Christmas Day in 1983. And Barney died in 1987. Long time ago. But anyway, I'm going to take a break, and I'll talk more about snow in Southern Illinois and the weird Southern Illinois weather. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears.
From my head to your ears, I'll be right back. Riding on a midnight groove, no need to pack. Thoughts spinning like vinyl, the needle drops low. Every beat a secret only you'll know.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. It is currently 11:11 p.m. here in Southern Illinois as I'm recording this. Someone said that was an angel number, 11:11. I don't know what that means. I'll look it up and tell you later. But we're talking about the winter weather in Southern Illinois and how weird it is. I remember having a snow day in 1984, my senior year in high school, it was a Thursday. We got this big snow, and they canceled snow for the next day already before we even left, because it was just coming down like crazy. And I remember one of the teachers assigning homework, and everybody just kind of grumbling. But it was funny. It was December 6th that they canceled school. We canceled school for December 7th of 1985, and which would have been a Friday. I'll have to look that up to confirm it, but I'm pretty sure that was the date. I'll verify that when I take a break. I'll verify the 11/11 thing, and if my brain is correct on that date, just because I have to have the satisfaction of proving myself. I don't like to be wrong. I don't like it. But it was funny because we had an 8-page senior thesis due on, the 7th of December. I had already turned mine in. I did mine because I did mine on Olivia Newton-John, and, it was a total thrill to do that. And of course, you had to type it out. It had to be typed and double spaced. So anyway, I remember being really thrilled, but a lot of people were really thrilled because they had an extra day to work on their thesis that, didn't have it done. I'm trying not to say that. That's so unprofessional. But, I remember thinking, for once I didn't procrastinate and I got my report in. And, oddly enough, that was the only snow we had that whole year. We came back from Christmas break later, and, snow just kept bypassing us. And that 1986, that would have been 86. That's when winters really changed. because after I got out of high school, we didn't have hardly any snow for a few years. And I remember when my niece first started driving, which would have been, oh shoot, I don't remember. Let's see. What year did she graduate? 18 and 93. Well, anyway, I don't know. But she really didn't know how to drive in snow. And the poor girl moves to Wisconsin where it snows all the time. So she had to kind of learn by trial and error to drive in the snow up there. She had a wreck or two up there. Actually broke her ankle while she lived up there. But yeah, the snow's just kind of dried up for many, many years, and we might have a dusting or whatever, but not much. And I don't think, it seemed like when I started at my job in 1990, even then it didn't snow a lot. I think we had a really good snow in 1994. And again, it was in February. I remember a snow, and I just now thought of this. And this is a snow in high school, in February of 1982. Oddly enough, the night that Olivia Newton-John's Olivia Physical aired on ABC, which was her video album that they added some, little vignettes of her talking and stuff and aired it. And while it was airing, I remember we were having a snowstorm and school closings were being, scrolled along the bottom of the picture. And I had to watch that special in my bedroom in a black and white TV because my dad didn't want to hear that. But yeah, we had a big snow then too. And that was the winter I was talking about earlier where Ren Lake froze over. But I had forgotten that story in particular. And seemed like every time there was an Olivia Newton-John movie or special on, we'd have bad weather and it would scroll on you'd have either a storm warning or whatever scrolling on the bottom of the TV. So, which used to drive me crazy when I was trying to watch something. But anyway, I am going to take a break and talk about modern winters, I guess, and what have you. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head. 2 years, I'll be right back.
From my head to your ears, let the music appear. No distance between us, just jazz in the air. I'll be right back, don't you fear. Every note I play brings me near.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast. From my head to your ears, and I'm talking about the crazy weather in Southern Illinois, and talking about some of the crazy winters of the past. And first of all, I wanted to get a couple things out of the way that I promised earlier in the podcast about the number 1111. Let's see. 1111 is widely regarded in spirituality and numerology as a powerful sign of synchronization, spiritual awakening, and a portal for manifestation. Often promoting people to make a wish, it serves as a reminder to remain present, aligned with the universe, and indicates that your thoughts are creating your reality. So, there's that. So maybe you didn't know that, but that's the significance of 1111. And also, a little correction. I was talking about my senior year, and I made a faux pas. It wasn't December 7th, 1985. It was 84, which, I hate being wrong, but I was. I really wasn't technically. I just had the wrong year. I just said the wrong year. I knew it was 1984, but I just blurted out 1985 because that's the year I graduated. But the school year was 84, 85 that year. So December of 1984, December 6th, we had a snowstorm that canceled school on December 7th when the senior theses? How do you say that? I'm not sure. We're due. It doesn't matter, I guess. But just wanted to clarify those two things because I said I would, and I am a man of my word. I don't know. Of late, going back to the weather situation here in Southern Illinois, of late, I often have stated I think we're going to sprout palm trees soon because our weather has changed quite a bit. Today was in the 60s. Well, by the way, I started this podcast Sunday night. I am finishing it on Tuesday night because I had a little technical difficulty in this segment of the podcast. So I'm just giving away a secret. I could have let that go, but I'm just being transparent. But today on Tuesday, February 10th, it was 60 some degrees outside and it melted a lot of the snow finally. So although it kind of warmed up a little too fast for my taste, it kind of made you feel kind of icky today. It was really humid today, which is really weird. That's the way it was on Christmas. I think we're expecting rain this weekend, and it's supposed to be warmish. I don't think it's supposed to be quite so warm tomorrow as it was today, but today was just kind of freakish a little bit. When I left the house to go to work, it was humid out. It was really weird, and there was a kind of a fog, which was caused from the cold snow and the warm air mixing. So, it was really just odd today. And that's the way our weather is. I mean, the last few years we barely had a winter. And, around May, actually last May it stayed kind of damp and chilly and rainy. And then around Memorial Day weekend, it started to get really humid, and then the rain stopped. It was just rain, messed a lot of farmers up around here. And the rain stopped, and then it just got humid and pretty well stayed dry and humid throughout the summer. We hardly got any rain all summer long last year. And that's happened a lot of late. And the humidity around here is just ridiculous. Years ago, when I went to Cancun, we left here in July and got to Mexico, and the tour guy was saying you won't be able to stand outside for too long because it is so humid outside. And I was laughing because I thought, buddy, this is the way it is back home in Southern Illinois. The weather was almost identical in Mexico and Cancun to what the weather was here. Just hot and sticky. So there's that. But I'd probably jump the gun on the winter this year because it's still just the first couple weeks of February, and we could have a cold front move through and it could snow. But usually you get through January and most of February and you're pretty well home free from snow and bad snows. So yeah, I think that's the way it's been, but I don't know. You never know. A lot can happen. Well, considering it was, like I was saying earlier, it was 80 degrees on Christmas, and a month later we had 15 inches of snow, and it was negative temperatures. So yeah, weather just goes crazy around here. And, it's kind of predictable. What I hate around here too is, like last summer, it was just endlessly sunny and hot and humid. Like every day. It was so monotonous, and I hate monotony with a passion. So, anyway, I think I'm going to take a break and wrap up my podcast for this edition. I'll be right back. I'm going to take a short break. I'm Leonard Riggs. This is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears.
From my head to your ears, I'll be right back. Riding on a midnight groove, no need to pack. Thoughts spinning like vinyl, the needle drops low. Every beat a secret only you'll know.
I'm Leonard Riggs, and this has been my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. Thank you so much for listening. I love hearing, I say it every podcast, but I do. I love hearing from you. I love your comments. It's why I do this. I certainly don't do this so nobody will listen. I just am very pleased that you think I'm interesting enough to listen to me for 30, 40 minutes, hour, whatever it is that this ends up being. Just thank you. And like, there's a place to leave comments if you want to leave comments, or if you have any questions, or that kind of stuff. Something I want to do though, I want to thank a few people who really helped me through this snow, getting back to work, mostly people that just good friends that really watched out for me and took care of me. And Mike Wingett, Joe and Angie Bullock. I appreciate you, Angela. Got me home, and my friends Mike and Stephanie Parvin, and my neighbor. I appreciate you, and all the other people too that worried about me or offered rides, because it's very stressful when you have to be somewhere. And I had to open the store at 5 a.m. on the first day of that snow, and it was horrible outside, and I couldn't have never made it there without Mike Wingett. So I'm blessed with some really wonderful friends, and I'm blessed with some really wonderful listeners. So I just wanted to say that before I signed off for this edition of From My Head to Your Ears. My friends never let me down. Some things you can count on: God and my friends. I appreciate you all so much. I'm just gonna finish this up, and I will be back with another podcast very soon. And I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. Until next time, adios.